Have you ever found yourself endlessly scrolling through dating profiles, swiping left and right, trying to craft the perfect message, only to feel like you're just another face in a sea of noise? Or maybe you've been on a date where the conversation felt forced, where you were more focused on saying the right thing than actually connecting, leaving you wondering what's missing. It's a common frustration in the modern world, this feeling that genuine connection has been replaced by a game of superficial impressions. But what if the key to becoming truly magnetic to women wasn't about learning new pickup lines or manipulating social dynamics? What if the answer has been waiting for you, not in the latest dating guru's playbook, but in the wisdom of an ancient philosophy? This is the powerful, often overlooked secret of Stoicism. For centuries, Stoic principles have guided individuals toward lives of virtue, resilience, and profound inner strength. And at the heart of this philosophy lies a blueprint for developing a kind of confidence that is quiet, unshakable, and incredibly attractive. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming the most grounded, purposeful, and authentic version of yourself. When you operate from that place, you stop seeking validation and start emitting a natural magnetism that draws people in. In this video, we are going to explore 25 specific Stoic mindsets that will completely transform how you show up in your interactions with women. These are not quick tricks or superficial tactics. They are foundational shifts in how you perceive yourself, your values, and the world around you. We'll delve into how to cultivate a calm center in the chaos of social anxiety, how to lead with integrity instead of approval seeking, and how to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. This journey is about building a character so solid and a presence so assured that you become genuinely compelling. So, if you're ready to move beyond the fleeting strategies and invest in a confidence that lasts a lifetime, you are in the right place. Let's begin this exploration into the timeless wisdom that can make you authentically magnetic. The first and most fundamental Stoic mindset that can transform your presence is focusing entirely on what is within your control. The ancient Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it's the bedrock of their entire philosophy. Essentially, everything in life can be divided into two categories: things that are up to us and things that are not. What is up to us? Our own judgments, our values, our efforts, our character, and our actions. What is not up to us? The opinions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, external events, and crucially, how a specific woman responds to us. When you truly internalize this distinction, it changes everything about how you approach dating and connection. Instead of pouring your energy into trying to control her feelings or the outcome of the interaction, you redirect all that focus back onto yourself, onto conducting yourself with integrity, expressing your genuine interest, and staying true to your principles regardless of the result. This shift is profound because neediness at its core is the desperate desire to control something you ultimately cannot, another person's free will. When you stop trying to control her and instead focus on controlling your own conduct, that desperation vanishes. You are no longer seeking a specific reaction to feel okay about yourself. You are grounded in the knowledge that your worth is determined by your own choices and virtues, not by external validation. Imagine you're on a date. The old, needy mindset might have you constantly monitoring her every word and gesture, trying to decipher if she likes you, and then adjusting your behavior to please her. You're not really present, you're trapped in your head, managing an impression. Now, apply the Stoic focus. Your entire mission becomes simply to be the best version of yourself, to listen attentively, to share your thoughts honestly, to be kind, to be present in the moment. Whether she laughs at your joke or not, whether the date leads to a second one or not, becomes secondary. Your primary concern is whether you acted in accordance with your character. This projects a completely different energy. It's the energy of a man who is solid in himself, who isn't shaken by external events. That kind of grounded, unshakable confidence is incredibly rare and magnetic. It communicates that you are a source of your own validation, which is far more attractive than seeking it from her. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being so secure in your own process that you can engage with her freely without the weight of expectation. You become someone who offers connection, not someone who desperately needs it to feel complete, and that is the foundation of true magnetism. Building on that foundation of focusing only on what you can control, we come to a mindset that might seem radical at first, but is arguably one of the most liberating concepts in all of Stoicism: the practice of Amor Fati, a Latin phrase that translates to a love of one's fate. This isn't about passive resignation or just gritting your teeth and enduring bad luck. It's an active, enthusiastic embrace of everything life throws your way: the good, the bad, and especially the uncomfortable. It means looking at every event, every interaction, and every outcome and choosing to say, "This is for my benefit. I will find the value in this no matter what." Now, apply this specifically to the world of dating and connection. What does it mean to love your fate when that fate includes being turned down, ghosted, or facing rejection? For most people, rejection is a blow to the ego. It's a signal that they are not enough, that they have failed. This fear of rejection is what causes so much anxiety, leading men to avoid approaching someone they're attracted to play it safe in conversations, or to become bitter and resentful after a date doesn't work out. But Amor Fati reframes rejection entirely. It asks you to see a no not as a failure, but as a necessary redirection. Think of it as life's filtering system. If someone isn't interested, that isn't a judgment on your inherent worth. It's simply information that this wasn't the right fit. Loving that outcome means appreciating the clarity it provides. It frees up your time and emotional energy to pursue connections that are genuinely mutual and fulfilling, rather than wasting effort trying to convince someone to see your value. There's a powerful strength in this perspective. Consider the alternative: a man who takes every rejection as a personal indictment. His confidence becomes brittle, dependent on constant approval. He might become needy, trying to lock down any form of validation, or he might become cynical and closed off. Neither is attractive. Now picture a man who has embraced Amor Fati. He approaches a woman and she politely declines. Instead of his inner world crumbling, he thinks, "Interesting. This saves me from investing in a connection that wasn't meant to be. It's guiding me towards someone who will be a better match." He remains calm, he wishes her well, and he moves forward with his dignity completely intact. That demeanor is compelling. It demonstrates a profound resilience and an unshakable inner security. Women are intuitively drawn to this because it signals a man who is not easily shaken by external circumstances. He possesses a deep-seated trust in the process of life itself. This doesn't mean you become emotionally numb or that you enjoy the sting of rejection. The Stoics weren't robots. It means you acknowledge the momentary discomfort, but then you master your interpretation of the event. You look for the lesson. Was there something you could learn about your approach? Did it reveal a deeper value you hold that wasn't aligned? Or is it simply a reminder that you cannot control others and that your mission is to remain true to yourself regardless? When you practice this, you stop seeing rejection as something to be avoided at all costs and start seeing it as an integral part of the journey toward finding a genuine connection. This transforms your entire presence. You stop radiating a fear of failure and start projecting a quiet assurance that you can handle any outcome. That is the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It's felt in your calm demeanor, your authentic smile, and your ability to engage without a hidden agenda. You become a man who is truly unfazed by outcomes, not out of indifference, but out of a deep trust that every experience is shaping you and steering you toward your ultimate good. Now consider how this unshakable foundation leads us directly to the third core mindset, which is perhaps the most transformative of all, the radical idea that virtue is the sole good. The Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, argued that things like wealth, social status, good looks, or even the affection of a partner are not truly good in themselves. They called these preferred indifference. It's nice to have them, but they are indifferent to your flourishing as a human being because they can be taken away in an instant. What cannot be taken from you is your character, your integrity, your courage, your wisdom, your sense of justice. These virtues are the only real, lasting goods because they are entirely within your power to cultivate. This isn't just a philosophical point, it's a practical game changer for how you approach attraction. When you make the conscious decision to build a life where your primary pursuit is becoming a more virtuous man, you stop leading with your resume, your car, or your social media followers. You start leading with your character, and that shift is palpable. It creates a magnetism that is both deep and authentic. Think about what is truly compelling in a person over the long term. It isn't the flashy exterior, it's the core of who they are. It's the man who remains calm and clear-headed during a stressful situation, demonstrating the virtue of temperance. It's the man who speaks his truth with kindness, even when it's difficult, showing both courage and justice. It's the man who pursues his purpose with wisdom and discipline, not for external applause, but because it's the right thing to do. This kind of integrity is rare, and it broadcasts a powerful signal. It tells a woman that you are a person of substance, that your inner compass is strong and reliable. You are not a chameleon who changes colors to fit in or win approval. You are a rock, and in a world of constant change and superficiality, that solidity is incredibly attractive. It provides a sense of security and trust that no amount of money can buy. Imagine two men on a date. The first man is trying to impress. He's name-dropping, talking about his expensive vacation, subtly trying to prove his worth through these external markers. He is, whether he realizes it or not, seeking validation. He's asking, "Am I good enough for you?" The second man is simply present. He's curious, he asks thoughtful questions, he listens. He isn't trying to prove anything because his sense of worth comes from his own commitment to being a good person. He knows that his value isn't up for debate. He is grounded in his virtues. Which of these two men is more likely to create a genuine, lasting connection? The answer is obvious. The first man's appeal is conditional on his possessions and achievements. The second man's appeal is unconditional. It emanates from who he is at his core. This is why cultivating virtue makes you magnetic. You become a man of purpose, not just a man of possessions. Your mission in life shifts from acquiring things to building character, and that purpose is far more inspiring and attractive than any status symbol. It draws people toward you because they sense a depth and a reliability that is profoundly reassuring. When a woman is with you, she feels she is with someone who has a moral backbone, someone who will do the right thing even when it's hard, someone whose word actually means something. That is the foundation of real trust and intimacy, and it all starts with a deliberate, daily choice to see virtue as your highest aim. When you've practiced focusing on what you control, learned to love your fate, and grounded your worth in your own virtue, you begin to construct something the Stoics called an inner citadel. This powerful metaphor, used often by Marcus Aurelius, refers to a fortified place within your own mind, a sanctuary of calm reason that remains untouched by the chaos outside. Think of it as your psychological fortress. No matter what storms rage around you, whether it's social anxiety, awkward silences, unexpected rejection, or high-pressure situations, you have a place to retreat to internally where your peace and clarity are never truly threatened. This isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about cultivating an unassailable core of self-possession so that you can engage with the world from a place of strength, not fear. Emotional resilience is the practical result of this inner fortress. It's what allows you to receive a cutting remark or face an uncomfortable social moment without your entire demeanor collapsing. Your heart rate might still spike for a moment. You're human after all, but instead of that physiological reaction spiraling into panic or defensiveness, you can observe it from the safety of your citadel. You can take a mental half-step back, acknowledge the feeling, and then choose your response with intention rather than being hijacked by the emotion. In the context of attraction, this quality is magnetic. Consider a common scenario. You're in a lively conversation with a woman you're interested in, and you unintentionally say something that lands awkwardly. Maybe it's a joke that doesn't get a laugh, or you accidentally interrupt her. The insecure reaction is to panic internally. The inner critic screams, "You messed up." She thinks you're a fool. This leads to a visible shift in your energy. You might become flustered, try to over-explain, or shrink back and become quiet for the rest of the interaction. You've effectively abandoned your inner citadel and are now at the mercy of the perceived social judgment. Now contrast that with the man who has built this resilient core. The same awkward moment happens. From within his citadel, he simply notices it. He might even acknowledge it lightly with a smile, saying, "Whoops, didn't mean to cut you off, please continue." He doesn't berate himself. He doesn't see it as a catastrophe that defines the entire interaction. Because his sense of self isn't tied to every single micro moment, he can let the awkwardness pass like a cloud and the conversation smoothly continues. His calm is not easily disturbed. This ability to remain composed under minor social pressures projects a tremendous sense of stability. It signals to others that you are emotionally secure and self-regulated. People are naturally drawn to this because it creates a safe and comfortable atmosphere. When you're not thrown off balance by small setbacks, the people around you feel they can relax and be themselves without worrying that they might accidentally trigger your insecurities. This is especially compelling to women who often have a keen radar for emotional stability. It suggests a partner who can handle life's inevitable stresses without falling apart, a man who can be a true source of strength. Building this citadel is a daily practice. It's the conscious work of returning to your center again and again. It's about pausing before you react, questioning your initial catastrophic interpretations, and reminding yourself of your core virtues. Every time you choose a reasoned response over a reactive one, you are adding another stone to your fortress. Over time, what once would have sent you into a tailspin of self-doubt now barely registers as a tremor. You become a man whose peace is not for sale to the highest bidder of external approval, a man who is genuinely and unshakably centered. That kind of presence doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you a pillar of strength in any room you enter. This idea of a fortified inner self naturally raises the question, what principles should guide you from within that stronghold? The Stoics provide a profound answer with their central tenet: to live in accordance with nature and reason. At first glance, that phrase might sound abstract, even academic, but its application to your daily life and interactions is incredibly direct and practical. For the Stoics, nature didn't just mean trees and rivers, it meant the essential defining character of a thing. A knife's nature is to cut, a horse's nature is to run. So, what is the nature of a human being? Our defining faculty, what sets us apart, is our capacity for rational thought and our innate social instinct for cooperation and community. Therefore, to live according to our nature is to use our reason to guide our actions and to engage with others in a spirit of mutual respect and honesty. When you bring this mindset into your interactions with women, it completely eliminates the need for manipulative tactics or deceptive games. You are no longer trying to hack social dynamics or follow some scripted set of rules designed to create a false impression. Instead, your entire approach becomes one of authentic, reason-based engagement. You show up as a rational, social creature interacting with another rational, social creature. Think about the common advice in certain dating circles: play hard to get, wait a specific number of hours before texting back, or use negging to undermine her confidence and make her seek your approval. From a Stoic perspective, these tactics are a complete departure from living according to nature. They are irrational because they are based on deception, not truth. They are anti-social because they treat the other person not as a partner in a potential connection, but as an object to be manipulated for your own gratification. They might create a fleeting illusion of attraction, but they can never, ever build a foundation of genuine trust and respect. Now, imagine the alternative. You meet someone you're genuinely interested in. Living according to nature and reason means your communication is clear and straightforward. If you enjoy her company, you express that interest honestly, without desperation or an expectation of a specific return. You listen to understand her perspective, not just to waiting for your turn to talk. You make decisions collaboratively, respecting her autonomy and her own capacity for reason. You don't resort to mind games because you trust that a real connection is built on transparency, not on psychological tricks. This projects an aura of immense integrity. It demonstrates that you are a man who operates from a coherent set of principles, not from a place of fleeting insecurity or a desire to control. For example, instead of meticulously calculating when to send a text to appear busy or aloof, you simply respond when it is reasonable and convenient for you to do so. Your behavior is consistent and predictable in the best possible way. It's reliable. A woman interacting with you quickly senses that you are not a source of emotional chaos or confusing mixed signals. She feels she can trust your words and your actions because they are aligned. This creates a safe space for a true connection to flourish, one where both people can be vulnerable and authentic without fear of being manipulated. Furthermore, this mindset frees you from the exhausting performance of trying to be someone you're not. When your goal is to act rationally and sociably, the pressure to be the wittiest, the most successful, or the most charismatic person in the room simply evaporates. Your focus shifts to being a good human being in the interaction. Are you being fair? Are you being kind? Are you listening well? This is a much lighter, more authentic burden to carry. It allows your genuine personality to shine through, unencumbered by pretense. That kind of effortless authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in because it's so refreshingly real in a world saturated with artifice. You become a man who offers the rare and valuable gift of straightforward, honest engagement, and that is a powerful foundation for any meaningful relationship. Following directly from the principle of living in accordance with reason, we arrive at a mindset that might sound counterintuitive, yet it is a master key to unlocking true courage and freedom in your interactions. The practice of negative visualization, or what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. This isn't about pessimism or dwelling on the worst-case scenario to make yourself miserable. It is a deliberate, logical exercise in mentally rehearsing potential setbacks or losses in order to strip them of their power to frighten you. The core idea is simple but profound. By regularly envisioning the very things you fear, in this case rejection, awkwardness, or a date going poorly, you systematically desensitize yourself to their emotional impact. When you walk into a social situation having already accepted in your mind that the woman you're talking to might not be interested, that the conversation might fall flat, or that you might even be politely turned down, something remarkable happens. The fear of that outcome loses its grip on you. It ceases to be a terrifying monster lurking in the shadows and becomes a simple, manageable possibility. This is how you build the courage to approach, to be authentic, and to express interest without the desperate need for a specific, positive result. Imagine you're about to walk across a room to introduce yourself to someone you find attractive. The old, fear-based pattern might have your heart racing with a laundry list of anxieties. What if I say something stupid? What if she just gives me a cold look and turns away? What if my friends see me get rejected? This internal chatter is paralyzing because it treats these outcomes as catastrophes. Now apply negative visualization. Before you even take a step, you spend a minute calmly considering these possibilities. You visualize her not being interested. You picture her saying, "No, thank you," and you visualize yourself responding with a simple, "No problem, have a great evening," and then carrying on with your night, your dignity and self-worth completely intact. You mentally walk through the entire scenario and see that you survive it. You realize that the disaster you feared is in reality a minor, momentary event that does not diminish your value as a person. By doing this mental rehearsal, you perform a kind of emotional vaccination. You expose your mind to a small, controlled dose of the fear, which then allows you to build up immunity to it. When you then actually make the approach, you do so from a place of detachment from the outcome. You are no longer approaching to get something from her, namely validation. You are approaching to offer an interaction, and you are completely prepared to accept either response. This shift in energy is palpable and incredibly attractive. It's the difference between a man who seems to be asking for permission and a man who is simply making a gracious introduction. The former feels needy, the latter feels confident and self-contained. This practice goes far beyond just the initial approach. You can apply it to every stage of dating. Before a date, instead of building up fantasies of a perfect storybook evening, you calmly consider that you might not feel a connection, that there might be awkward silences, or that you might discover a fundamental incompatibility. This isn't to be negative, but to be prepared. It prevents you from becoming overly attached to one specific, idealized outcome. When you're not clinging to a fantasy, you can be fully present in the reality of the moment. You can listen better, observe more clearly, and genuinely assess whether there is a true fit, rather than just trying to make the date succeed at all costs. This creates a much more authentic and relaxed dynamic. She will sense that you are not trying to force anything, that you are evaluating the connection just as she is, and that you are secure enough to handle it if things don't work out. This emotional independence is magnetic because it signifies a man who is whole and complete on his own, who is looking for a partner, not a missing piece to his identity. The Stoics believed that by contemplating the impermanence and potential loss of all things, we learn to truly appreciate them while we have them, without the crippling fear of losing them. In the context of dating, this means you can enjoy a wonderful connection when it happens, savoring it fully, all the while holding it lightly, understanding that its continuation is not entirely within your control. This balanced attitude, a deep appreciation without desperate attachment, is the hallmark of a secure and mature individual. It allows you to be vulnerable and open-hearted without being fragile, and that is a combination of strength and sensitivity that is profoundly compelling. And this leads us perfectly into the seventh mindset, which takes the principles we've been building and applies them directly to the friction points we all encounter, seeing every obstacle as an opportunity. The Stoics had a powerful phrase for this, popularized by Ryan Holiday as "the obstacle is the way." This isn't just optimistic fluff, it's a radical reframing of reality. An obstacle, in the Stoic view, is not a roadblock on your path, it is the path. It's the very thing that shapes you, strengthens you, and reveals your character. Within every difficulty lies the raw material for practicing a specific virtue. Now, let's bring this down to the very real world of dating and connection. What are the common obstacles? A difficult conversation where you need to express a boundary or a need. The setback of a promising connection suddenly fading away. The challenge of approaching someone in a high-pressure social environment. The frustration of repeated rejections. Most people see these events as pure negatives, as signs that they should quit or that something is wrong with them. The man who has adopted this Stoic mindset sees the same events and asks a different question: which virtue does this situation invite me to practice? Let's take the obstacle of a difficult conversation. Perhaps you need to discuss expectations or address a behavior that bothered you. The easy, passive path is to avoid the conversation, to let resentment build, or to become passive-aggressive. But that doesn't build connection, it erodes it. The obstacle, the discomfort of the confrontation is actually the way forward. It is your chance to practice the virtue of courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting rightly in spite of it. By leaning into that difficult conversation with honesty and respect, you are not just solving a problem, you are actively building the muscle of courage. You are demonstrating to yourself and to her that you can handle hard things with integrity. This transforms your energy from one of passive anxiety to one of proactive strength. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are an active agent using the circumstance for your own growth. Consider another quintessential dating obstacle, being ghosted or rejected after a few good dates. The common reaction is to take it personally, to feel a surge of insecurity, to maybe even lash out or retreat into cynicism. This is seeing the obstacle as a pure defeat. Now apply the obstacle is the way. This setback is not a verdict on your worth. It is an incredible opportunity to practice the virtue of patience and self-respect. Patience is the ability to accept delay or disappointment without becoming upset. It's the quiet understanding that not everything unfolds according to your preferred timeline. This situation is your training ground for that. It's also an opportunity to practice the virtue of justice toward yourself. Justice means giving yourself what you are due, which in this case is dignity and the benefit of the doubt. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism, you can calmly acknowledge that it didn't work out, wish the other person well in your mind, and redirect your energy forward. This isn't suppression, it's a disciplined management of your emotional resources. When you handle rejection in this way, you project an energy of immense self-possession. It shows that your inner stability is not contingent on the fleeting approval of others. You become a man who understands that setbacks are not termini, but rather intersections that redirect you toward a better path. This proactive, virtuous response to difficulty is profoundly magnetic. It demonstrates a level of emotional maturity and resilience that is incredibly attractive. It tells a woman, either the one who left or a future one, that you are a man of substance who cannot be easily knocked off his center. Life is full of challenges, and a partner who crumbles at the first sign of trouble is a liability. A partner who sees trouble as a chance to demonstrate his strength is an asset. This mindset ensures that no experience, no matter how painful, is ever wasted. Every awkward silence becomes a chance to practice presence. Every moment of jealousy becomes a chance to practice trust and self-assurance. Every disagreement becomes a chance to practice wisdom and fair-mindedness. You begin to welcome the friction, not because you enjoy the discomfort, but because you recognize its value as the whetstone that sharpens your character. When you walk into any interaction with this perspective, you carry an aura of unshakable capability. People are drawn to those who seem to have life figured out, not in a perfect, problem-free way, but in a way that suggests they have the tools to handle any problem that arises. You become the calm in the storm, and that is a presence people naturally want to be near. Having built this inner fortress where obstacles become opportunities, we must now confront the most profound and clarifying mindset of them all, one that the Stoics considered essential for a life well lived: memento mori, the remembrance of death. At first, this might sound morbid or grim, as if we're being asked to dwell on something dark and depressing, but the Stoic purpose is exactly the opposite. It is a tool for vibrant, urgent, and authentic living. The phrase, "remember you will die," is not a threat, it's an invitation. It's a powerful mechanism to jolt yourself out of complacency, to cut through the noise of trivial concerns, and to focus with razor-sharp clarity on what truly matters. When you genuinely internalize the fact that your time here is limited and profoundly precious, it fundamentally changes how you show up in every moment, especially in your interactions with others. In the context of dating and forming connections, memento mori acts as a powerful antidote to fear and ego. So many of the anxieties that hold us back are rooted in a kind of temporal myopia. We act as if we have all the time in the world and as if this one interaction, this one potential rejection, is of eternal significance. We get caught up in protecting our ego, in crafting the perfect image, in fearing a moment of awkwardness. But when you hold the awareness of your own mortality in your mind, these concerns are revealed for what they are: fleeting, insignificant distractions. Imagine you're at a social gathering and you see someone across the room you feel drawn to. The old, fear-based script might start playing. What if I bother her? What if I say the wrong thing? What will people think if I get rejected? Now apply memento mori. Silently remind yourself, my time is limited. I will not be here forever. This moment is a gift and I will not waste it on fear. This realization instantly reorders your priorities. The potential for a minor, momentary embarrassment becomes utterly trivial when weighed against the potential for a genuine, meaningful connection. The fear of expressing interest is replaced by the far greater fear of living with the regret of never having tried. This mindset compels you into action, but more importantly, it shapes the quality of that action. You don't approach with a hidden agenda or a script. You approach with a profound sense of presence and authenticity. Because why would you waste your precious, finite time pretending to be someone you're not? Why would you use that time to play games or posture? Memento mori forces you to be real. It urges you to express your genuine interest clearly and respectfully, precisely because you understand that life is too short for ambiguity and indirectness. You stop seeing the other person as a judge who will validate or invalidate you, and you start seeing them as another human being on their own finite journey, with whom you have a fleeting opportunity to share a moment of connection. This shift in perspective is incredibly magnetic. It replaces neediness with a sense of sacred urgency. You are no longer seeking to get something from her to fill a void in yourself. You are there to offer a moment of authentic human engagement, to see if your paths might align, knowing that if they don't, you have lost nothing of true value. You have simply honored your limited time by being courageous and real. This is the essence of leading without ego. When you remember that you will die, the petty need to be right, to look cool, or to win a social game evaporates. It allows you to be vulnerable. It allows you to listen with full attention because you understand that this conversation is unique and will never happen again in exactly the same way. It allows you to be genuinely curious about her thoughts, her stories, and her perspective, because you are engaging with the reality of another mortal soul, not just a potential date. This depth of presence is rare and captivating. People feel truly seen and heard when they are with someone who is fully engaged in the moment, unburdened by the performative mask so many wear. Furthermore, memento mori cultivates a powerful and attractive form of gratitude. When you are aware that every experience is temporary, you begin to appreciate the good moments with a much deeper intensity. A wonderful conversation, a shared laugh, a moment of understanding, these are not taken for granted. You savor them. This grateful, appreciative energy is far more attractive than an attitude of entitlement or casual expectation. It communicates that you are a man who truly values the gift of connection, and that you don't approach relationships from a place of lack, but from a place of abundant appreciation for the beauty that life offers. In the end, practicing this remembrance doesn't make you somber, it makes you more alive. It fills your interactions with a light, focused intensity that is both calming and compelling. It gives you the courage to be the first to speak, to be the one who expresses appreciation, to be the man who lives and loves without holding back out of fear. That kind of fearless, authentic engagement, rooted in the profound awareness of life's precious brevity, is perhaps the most powerful magnet of all. When we rush to judge others, we are often revealing more about our own insecurities and biases than about the person standing in front of us. This brings us to the ninth mindset, which is a profound exercise in intellectual humility and genuine connection. Judge less, understand more. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, placed immense importance on this discipline. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And our reaction is almost always dictated by our initial judgment of an event or a person. We see someone behave in a certain way, and our mind instantly slaps on a label. She's arrogant, she's not interested, she's playing games. But the Stoic practice is to catch that automatic judgment and suspend it. Instead of accepting your first interpretation as truth, you consciously choose to get curious. You replace the question, "What does this say about her?" with a far more interesting and productive question. What might this say about her experience, her history, or her current state? In the context of dating, this shift is a game changer for creating authentic rapport. Imagine you're on a date and she seems a bit reserved, not as outwardly enthusiastic as you'd hoped. The automatic, judgmental interpretation might be, "She's not having a good time, she doesn't like me, this is going poorly." That judgment will instantly change your energy. You might become defensive or try too hard to entertain her, or simply shut down yourself. The entire dynamic becomes strained because you're reacting to a story you've created in your head, not the reality of the moment. Now apply the Stoic mindset. You notice she seems quiet. Instead of judging it, you get curious. You might gently and warmly say, "You seem a bit thoughtful over there, everything okay?" Or simply hold the space for her quietness without needing to fill it with your own anxiety. This approach demonstrates a high degree of emotional intelligence and empathy. It shows that you are observant and that you care about her internal state, not just the performance of the date. Perhaps she's just tired from a long work week. Maybe she's naturally more introverted and takes time to warm up, or it could be something entirely unrelated to you. By withholding judgment, you open the door to understanding, and that understanding is the bedrock of real connection. This practice also applies to how you interpret her communication style. If she doesn't text back immediately, the judgmental mind leaps to, "She's ignoring me." She's not that into it. The understanding mind considers a dozen other possibilities. She's busy, her phone died. She's the type of person who focuses on one thing at a time and isn't glued to her screen. This prevents you from sending a needy or accusatory follow-up message and allows you to maintain your composure and patience. When you are a man who seeks to understand rather than to judge, you become an incredibly safe person to talk to. People, and women in particular, sense when they are being sized up and labeled. It creates a barrier, but when they feel that you are genuinely trying to see the world from their perspective without immediately categorizing them, they feel respected and valued. This fosters deeper, more meaningful conversations because she feels she can be her authentic self without fear of being misinterpreted. You move beyond superficial small talk and into discussions about values, experiences, and dreams. This mindset is also a powerful antidote to bitterness. Many men become jaded after a few negative dating experiences, starting to judge all women through the lens of past hurts. They develop a narrative that all women are flaky or all women just want attention. This is a prison of their own judgment. The Stoic practice of withholding judgment forces you to treat every new person as a unique individual, free from the baggage of your past. It allows you to approach each connection with a fresh slate and an open mind, which is the only way to ever find something truly special. Ultimately, this isn't about being naive or ignoring red flags. It's about giving the person in front of you the dignity of a fair assessment based on evidence and understanding rather than on your own fears and projections. When you master this, you project a rare combination of strength and sensitivity. The strength of a man who is secure enough not to need immediate explanations for everything, and the sensitivity of a man who is genuinely interested in the inner world of another human being. This practice of withholding judgment and seeking understanding cultivates a powerful inner calm. But to truly embody that calm in the face of dating's inherent uncertainties, we need to actively forge our resilience. This brings us to the 10th mindset, a concept the Stoics didn't just preach but lived: the deliberate embrace of voluntary discomfort. Think of it as weight training for your character. Just as you would go to the gym to lift heavy weights to strengthen your muscles for the physical demands of life, you voluntarily seek out small, manageable doses of discomfort to strengthen your mind and will for the psychological demands of life, especially the social and emotional challenges of connection. The Stoics, from Cato to Seneca, intentionally practiced this. They would wear simple clothing in cold weather, sleep on a hard bed, or purposefully eat plain food. Why? To remind themselves that they could thrive without luxury, to prove to themselves that their happiness was not dependent on external comforts, and most importantly, to build a tolerance for hardship so that when true difficulty arrived, they were already prepared. They were immunizing themselves against the fear of discomfort. Now, let's translate this ancient practice into the modern context of dating and social confidence. What is the primary discomfort that holds men back? The fear of social rejection, the anxiety of initiating a conversation with a stranger, the vulnerability of expressing interest. These situations feel threatening because they involve potential pain, the pain of awkwardness, of being judged, of facing a no. But when you have already made a habit of voluntarily facing discomfort in other areas of your life, this social fear loses its power. You have already proven to your own nervous system that you can handle discomfort and come out the other side stronger. So, what does this look like in practice? It means integrating small, deliberate challenges into your daily routine. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower for the last 30 seconds of your morning routine. That initial shock is a mini battle with your own desire for comfort. When you choose to stay under the cold water, you are practicing the exact same mental muscle required to walk across a room and say hello to someone you're attracted to. It's the muscle of acting in spite of fear. It could be choosing to do a difficult workout when you feel like skipping it, or opting to cook a healthy meal instead of ordering takeout when you're tired. Each of these choices is a vote for your self-discipline. You are building evidence that you are the kind of person who does hard things. This accumulated evidence directly builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, the belief in your own ability to handle situations. When you believe you can handle the minor discomfort of a cold shower, you start to believe you can handle the minor discomfort of a conversational lull. When you know you can push through the burn in a workout, you know you can push through the nervousness of asking for a phone number. The connection is direct and physiological. You are recalibrating your brain's threat assessment. What was once perceived as a social threat on par with a physical danger is now downgraded to a manageable challenge, no more intimidating than a chilly blast of water. This transforms your approach. Instead of seeing an attractive woman as a source of potential pain to be avoided, you see her as another opportunity for voluntary discomfort, a chance to practice courage and social agility. The goal of the interaction is no longer solely to get a yes. The goal is also to successfully practice initiating, to practice being vulnerable, to practice handling whatever outcome arises with grace. This reframe is incredibly liberating. It means every social situation, regardless of the result, is a success because you engaged in the practice, you did the rep. You strengthen the muscle. This mindset makes you calm and grounded in social settings because you are not there to take something, you are there to practice giving of yourself. You can initiate a conversation with a relaxed ease because the pressure is off. The outcome is secondary to the act of courageous engagement itself. This projects a quiet, unassuming confidence that is far more magnetic than any practiced line or forced swagger. People are drawn to those who seem comfortable in their own skin, and there is no faster way to become comfortable than to regularly step outside your comfort zone and prove to yourself that you can handle it. You become a man who is not rattled by the unexpected because you have trained for it. You have voluntarily embraced life's little hardships, and in doing so, you have made yourself immune to the fear of them. All of this internal work, building resilience, embracing discomfort, remembering what truly matters, culminates in one of the most visible and impactful Stoic mindsets, the commitment to being a man of action, not just words. The ancient Stoics, particularly figures like Marcus Aurelius, constantly admonished themselves in their private journals to stop talking about what a good man is and simply be one. There is a profound gap between understanding a virtue intellectually and embodying it through consistent action. In the realm of attraction, this gap is where trust is either built or broken. A man who talks a good game can be intriguing for a moment, but a man whose actions consistently align with his stated values is magnetic in a way that words alone can never achieve. This isn't about grand, sweeping gestures. It's about the quiet, daily discipline of integrity. It's about the promises you keep, even the small ones you make to yourself. When you tell a friend you'll help them move, you show up. When you set a goal to exercise, you follow through. This builds a track record of self-trust that radiates outward. You know deep down that your word means something because you have a history of backing it up with effort. This self-confidence is the foundation for the trust others place in you. Now, let's translate this directly into dating dynamics. One of the most common frustrations women express is dealing with men who are all talk. He says he's going to call, and he doesn't. He talks about wanting a serious relationship, but his actions show a pattern of inconsistency and avoidance. He might use all the right words, painting a picture of a reliable, interested partner, but his failure to follow through reveals a different truth. This creates a sense of unsafety and unpredictability. In stark contrast, the Stoic man of action understands that his deeds are his true language. If he says he's going to call on Tuesday, he calls on Tuesday. It's a simple action, but it communicates volumes. It says, "You can rely on me. My word is my bond." This reliability is a cornerstone of attractive masculinity. It provides a woman with the emotional security of knowing that you are a person of substance, not just smoke and mirrors. This principle extends powerfully into taking initiative. A man of action doesn't wait for life or a relationship to happen to him. He shapes it through deliberate choice. In the context of dating, this means being proactive in planning. Instead of the vague and low effort, "Hey, we should hang out sometime," the man of action proposes a specific plan. "I'd love to take you to that new Italian place on Thursday evening if you're free." This does two things. First, it demonstrates genuine interest and effort. It shows that you've thought about her and the time you might share, and that you're willing to invest that small amount of mental energy to create a good experience. Second, and just as importantly, it displays leadership and decisiveness. These are not about being controlling, they are about being capable. They signal that you are a man who can make decisions and navigate the world effectively, which is a deeply attractive and reassuring quality. It means that in a partnership, you can be counted on to contribute, to help steer the ship rather than just being a passive passenger. Ultimately, living your principles consistently is the ultimate test of this mindset. It's easy to say you value honesty, but do you tell the difficult truth when it would be easier to lie? It's easy to claim you're a caring person, but do your actions regularly show consideration for others? This consistency is what builds a reputation of rock-solid character. People are drawn to those whose inner and outer worlds are aligned. There is no cognitive dissonance when interacting with them. What you see is what you get. This authenticity is incredibly freeing for everyone involved. She doesn't have to waste energy deciphering your intentions or wondering if you're being genuine. She can relax into the connection, trusting that the man she's getting to know through his words is the same man she's experiencing through his actions. This alignment between speech and deed is the very essence of integrity, and integrity is the bedrock upon which all deep and lasting attraction is built. This powerful progression from disciplined action to genuine connection leads us to a mindset that anchors all of our social interactions in a profound and empathetic truth, which the Stoics called oikoiosis. This is the concept of recognizing our shared humanity and understanding that we are all part of a single, interconnected community. At its core, oikoiosis is the realization that every person you meet, including every woman you're drawn to, is a fellow human being on their own complex journey. They have their own fears, their own hopes, their own struggles, and their own deep-seated desire for happiness and freedom from suffering, just like you. When you truly internalize this perspective, it completely transforms the energy you bring into your interactions. You stop seeing a woman as an object of conquest, a prize to be won, or a means to validate your own ego. Instead, you begin to see her as a partner in a shared human experience. This shift is not just philosophical, it's palpably felt. It moves you from a posture of taking to an attitude of giving and connecting. Think about the common, objectifying mindset that can creep into dating culture. A man might see an attractive woman and immediately begin to assess her based on a checklist of physical attributes or how she would reflect on his status. He approaches her with a hidden agenda, viewing the interaction as a transaction where he provides charm or resources in exchange for her attention or affection. This dynamic is inherently dehumanizing for both parties. It turns her into an object and reduces him to a performer. There is no room for genuine connection here because neither person is being seen for who they truly are. Now apply the lens of oikoiosis. You see the same woman, but your first thought is not about what you can get from her, but a recognition of her shared humanity. You consider that she might be feeling just as nervous as you are. She might have had a long, taxing day at work. She might be worrying about a sick friend or feeling hopeful about a personal dream. She is in every way as human and as real as you are. This realization instantly cultivates a deep and authentic kindness. Your approach is no longer about a polished pickup line, but about a simple, respectful human engagement. You might open with a genuine, observational comment or a warm, non-threatening question that acknowledges her presence as a person, not a target. This projects an energy of safety and respect that is incredibly disarming and attractive. When a woman feels seen as a whole person rather than just a pretty face, she can let her guard down and be her authentic self. This is the fertile ground where real connection can grow. Furthermore, oikoiosis naturally fosters a profound sense of respect for her autonomy and boundaries. When you see someone as a fellow human, you inherently understand that their yes or no is a sacred expression of their own will and lived experience, not a personal verdict on your worth. Her disinterest is not a rejection of your entire being. It is simply the expression of her own path diverging from yours at this moment. This understanding allows you to accept her responses with grace and dignity, wishing her well on her journey regardless of the outcome. This demeanor is the antithesis of neediness. It demonstrates that you are secure enough to honor another person's freedom, and that security is magnetic. It shows a maturity that understands connection cannot be forced or manipulated. It must be mutually discovered and built. Ultimately, embracing this mindset frees you from the exhausting performance of trying to be impressive. You no longer need to put on a mask or remember a script. Your entire focus shifts to being a good human interacting with another good human. You listen more intently because you are genuinely curious about her perspective. You share more openly because you are not afraid of being judged. The interaction becomes a collaborative exploration rather than a competitive game. This creates a space where both of you can be vulnerable, where laughter is more genuine, and where conversations touch on things that truly matter. That kind of authentic, human-to-human engagement is rare and deeply compelling. It makes you magnetic not because you are perfect, but because you are present, respectful, and real. Now, let's explore a powerful Stoic meditation that can instantly dissolve dating anxiety and put everything into its proper perspective. It's called the view from above. This exercise, practiced by Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, involves a deliberate shift in your mental vantage point. you consciously pull your awareness back, zooming out from the immediacy of your own small concerns to see the bigger picture. You start by visualizing the room you're in, then you pull back to see your entire city from above, then your country, the planet, and eventually the vast expanse of the cosmos. The goal is to see your life and all its happenings as a tiny, fleeting part of an immense and ancient whole. When you apply this perspective to the world of dating, its effect is nothing short of transformative. The nervousness you feel before a date, the sting of a rejection, the awkwardness of a conversation that didn't flow, all of these events are shrunk down to their true microscopic size. They are single grains of sand on an endless beach, brief moments in the span of a lifetime, and even briefer in the history of humanity itself. This isn't meant to make your life seem meaningless. Rather, it's designed to liberate you from the tyranny of giving minor events major power over your emotional state. When you internalize the view from above, you stop sweating the small stuff because you literally see it for what it is, incredibly small. Imagine you're about to go on a first date. The old, anxious mindset has you tied in knots. You're worried about what to wear, what you'll talk about, whether she'll like you. It feels like a monumental event, a test of your entire worth. Now pause and practice the view from above. For just 60 seconds, close your eyes and envision it. See yourself getting ready in your apartment. Now pull back mentally and see your building, then your neighborhood, a tiny speck in the sprawling city that is home to millions of people, each with their own dates, their own anxieties, their own lives. Keep pulling back. See the continent, the planet spinning in space, a pale blue dot in the silent, immense universe. From this cosmic vantage point, is the outcome of your date tonight truly a catastrophe if it doesn't go perfectly? Is one person's opinion of you among billions the ultimate measure of your value? The obvious answer is a liberating no. This realization doesn't make you cold or detached. It fills you with a profound sense of calm. You understand that this date is simply one experience among countless others in your life. Its outcome does not define you. This shift is crucial for eliminating neediness. Neediness is at its heart an overinflation of a single moment's importance. It's the belief that you must get a specific result from this one interaction to be okay. The view from above shatters that illusion. It allows you to walk into the date with a relaxed, worldly perspective. You are no longer there to extract validation. You are there to share a pleasant experience with another human being on this tiny, shared rock floating through space. You can be fully present, curious, and engaging precisely because the pressure is off. The stakes have been returned to their proper, manageable size. This projects a unique and compelling energy. You carry yourself with the calm of someone who understands the grand scale of things. You're not easily flustered by a lull in conversation or a joke that doesn't land, because in the grand scheme of your life and of cosmic history, it simply doesn't matter. This isn't indifference, it's wisdom. It's the ability to discern what is truly significant from what is merely a passing event. A woman will sense this deep-seated peace in you. She'll feel that she's with a man who is not nervously monitoring her every reaction, but who is genuinely interested in the connection itself, free from the weight of existential dread. He is a man who has seen the bigger picture and has chosen to enjoy this small, beautiful moment within it. That kind of tranquil, assured presence is incredibly rare and deeply magnetic. Building on the expansive, cosmic perspective of the view from above, we arrive at a mindset that is the practical, moment-to-moment application of that wisdom, the discipline of procession or guarding your impressions. This is the Stoic art of being the vigilant gatekeeper of your own mind. Every second of the day, your senses are bombarded with information, and your mind instantly forms an initial impression, a raw, uncensored interpretation of an event. Procession is the practice of inserting a conscious pause between that first impression and your eventual reaction. It's the mental space where you can examine that initial judgment and ask yourself a crucial question. Is this impression true, or is it merely my own fear, insecurity, or past conditioning coloring my perception? In the emotionally charged landscape of dating, mastering this discipline is what separates a man who is ruled by his emotions from a man who commands them. Consider a common scenario that triggers a powerful negative impression. You're seeing someone you like and you notice she's been active on social media but hasn't replied to your text from a few hours ago. The initial automatic impression might be one of anxiety and suspicion. She's ignoring me. She's probably talking to someone else. She's losing interest. This impression carries with it a surge of emotional energy, jealousy, insecurity, maybe even anger. If you act on this raw impression, you might send a passive-aggressive follow-up message like, "I see you're busy," or you might withdraw and become cold the next time you talk. This reaction, born from an unexamined impression, will almost certainly damage the connection and confirm your own worst fears by creating the very tension you were afraid of. Now apply procession. The same impression arises. She's online but hasn't replied. Instead of letting that thought hijack your behavior, you catch it at the gate. You pause, you acknowledge the feeling of unease, but you don't accept the story your mind is telling you as absolute truth. You then subject the impression to the light of reason. You might ask, what is the actual evidence for this? The only fact I have is that she hasn't replied yet. There are a dozen other, more rational explanations. She could be busy with work. She might have seen the message and gotten distracted. She might be planning a more thoughtful reply later, or she might simply need some space. By interrogating your initial impression, you drain it of its destructive power. You realize that the narrative of rejection is just one of many possible stories, and not necessarily the most likely one. This allows you to choose a calm, rational response. You might decide to simply wait, trusting that she will reply in her own time. Or if a genuine need for communication arises later, you can address it from a place of calm curiosity rather than accusatory energy. "Hey, just wanted to check in since I didn't hear back. Everything all right?" This response comes from a place of care and stability, not neediness or control. This practice is the ultimate demonstration of self-control and maturity. It shows that you are the author of your own emotional state, not a victim of external events. When a woman perceives that you are not easily thrown into a jealous rage or plunged into insecurity by minor ambiguities, she feels an immense sense of safety and trust. She knows she is with a man who can handle complexity and uncertainty without spiraling. He is a reliable port in the emotional storms of life, not another source of turbulence. This doesn't mean you become an emotionless robot. The Stoics weren't advocating for numbness, they were teaching mastery. You will still feel the initial sting of a jealous thought or the flash of insecurity. Procession isn't about blocking the feeling, it's about preventing that feeling from steering the ship. You feel the jealousy, you acknowledge its presence, and then you consciously decide not to let it dictate your actions. Another powerful application is in handling disagreements or perceived slights. Imagine she makes a comment that you could interpret as a criticism. The initial impression might be defensiveness and anger. Guarding that impression means pausing to consider her intent. Was she truly trying to hurt you, or was it an awkward attempt at humor? Was it a simple observation spoken without malice? By choosing to interpret her words through a lens of goodwill rather than suspicion, you prevent unnecessary conflict. You might respond with gentle clarification instead of a counterattack, which often leads to a deeper understanding and reinforces the bond between you. This ability to guard your impressions and respond with reason rather than reaction is a superpower in building and maintaining healthy relationships. It ensures that your interactions are guided by your highest values, not your most fleeting fears. One of the most magnetic forces a person can possess is a sense of purpose, and Stoicism provides a powerful framework for discovering and living it, what the ancient Greeks called your daemon, your inner guiding spirit. This isn't about a vague notion of wanting to be happy or successful. It's about identifying your unique role in the grand scheme of things and pursuing it with focused passion. The Stoics believed that to live in accordance with nature, as we discussed earlier, means to live rationally and socially, using your innate talents to contribute to the common good. Your purpose, your daemon, is found at the intersection of what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you love to do. When you are actively engaged in that pursuit, you stop being a passive spectator in your own life and become the author of your story. This transformation is visible to everyone you meet, and it is incredibly compelling. A man with a clear purpose carries himself differently. There's a light in his eyes, a resonance in his voice, and a sense of direction in his actions. He isn't looking for someone to complete him or give his life meaning because he is already whole, driven by a mission that is larger than any single relationship. This self-contained wholeness is the absolute opposite of neediness. A woman isn't being asked to be the source of his happiness or his primary hobby. She is being invited to share in a journey that is already rich and meaningful. This makes you an interesting, centered individual because your conversations are no longer limited to small talk or seeking approval. You have projects you're excited about, principles you stand for, and a vision for your life that extends beyond the next date. You become a source of inspiration rather than a vessel of validation. Consider the stark contrast between two men on a date. The first man, lacking a strong sense of purpose, directs all his energy toward the interaction itself. His questions might feel like an interview, his stories might be tailored to impress, and his entire focus is on whether she likes him. The subtext of the entire evening is a question: do I meet your standards? The second man, who is living his purpose, engages from a place of abundance. He talks about his work or his passions with genuine enthusiasm, not to boast, but because he finds it inherently meaningful. He's curious about her world because he's genuinely interested in other human beings, not because he's trying to win points. His life is full and compelling on its own terms, and he's seeing if her life and values might beautifully intersect with his. He isn't trying to sell himself, he's sharing himself. This is magnetic because it offers a partnership of two complete individuals, a synergy rather than a dependency. Finding your purpose also provides an unwavering center during the inevitable ups and downs of dating. When you face rejection or a relationship doesn't work out, it's not a cataclysm that destroys your entire world. It's a recalibration. Your sense of worth and direction remains anchored in your mission, not in the fleeting approval of another. This allows you to process disappointment healthily and move forward without becoming bitter or desperate. You understand that a romantic connection is one important part of a good life, but it is not the entirety of your identity. This balanced perspective is profoundly attractive because it signals emotional maturity and stability. So how do you find this purpose from a Stoic perspective? It begins with self-examination. The Stoics were relentless about journaling and reflecting on their actions. Ask yourself, what activities make me lose track of time? What injustices in the world stir a fire in my belly? What strengths do I possess that I could use to serve others? Your purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. It could be mastering a craft, building a community, creating art, or pursuing knowledge. The key is that it aligns with your core virtues and provides a sense of meaningful direction. When you wake up each day with a reason that is truly your own, you carry a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. You become a man who is going somewhere, and that forward momentum is one of the most powerful attractions there is. This profound sense of individual purpose naturally blossoms into a wider awareness, a recognition that you are not an isolated island but a vital thread in the vast, interconnected web of existence. The Stoics called this sympatheia, and it's a mindset that transforms how you move through the social world. Sympatheia is the understanding that everything in the cosmos is woven together in a single, rational, living system. Just as a single plucked string on a violin can make other strings hum in resonance, your internal state, your actions, and your very energy create ripples that affect the people and environments around you. When you grasp this principle, you realize that your social interactions are not random events. They are dynamic ecosystems that you are actively co-creating moment by moment. This awareness shifts your entire orientation from being a passive participant in your social life to becoming a conscious, positive contributor to the emotional and relational climate. Think about the tangible energy you bring into a room. We've all experienced being around someone who is anxious and tense. You can feel it in the air, and it often makes everyone else feel on edge and uncomfortable. Conversely, being around someone who is genuinely calm, present, and positive has a way of putting people at ease, of making conversations flow more smoothly. This isn't mystical thinking, it's a practical reality of human psychology and social dynamics. Your emotional state is contagious. When you walk into a date or a social gathering radiating the calm assurance that comes from a Stoic practice, when you are grounded in your virtues, unfazed by minor setbacks and guided by reason, you are not just benefiting yourself. You are actively setting the tone for the entire interaction. You are creating a field of emotional safety and comfort that allows the other person to relax and be their authentic self. This makes you an incredibly pleasant and attractive person to be around. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel good, who make them feel seen and heard without judgment. By mastering your own inner world, you become a source of that positive experience for others. Now, let's apply this to the very practical matter of conversation. A man who is trapped in his own head, worried about what to say next or how he's being perceived, is not truly present. He's caught in a self-focused loop, and that energy is felt as a kind of social static. It makes the other person feel like they're talking to a performance, not a person. But when you operate from sympatheia, your focus shifts outward. You understand that the conversation is a shared creation, a living thing that exists between the two of you. Your role is not just to transmit your own thoughts, but to listen deeply, to build on her ideas, to ask questions that show you're genuinely engaged with her perspective. You are contributing positive, collaborative energy to this shared space. This turns a simple exchange of words into a genuine connection, a collaborative dance rather than a monologue or an interview. You become a man who is not just interesting but deeply interested, and that is a rare and compelling quality. This mindset also provides a powerful filter for the kinds of people you attract. The principle of sympatheia suggests that like attracts like. When you consistently bring a positive, virtuous, and grounded energy into your interactions, you naturally become a magnet for people who operate on a similar frequency. You will find yourself less entangled in the dramatic, chaotic, or manipulative dynamics that can sometimes characterize dating, because that negative energy simply cannot resonate with the stable field you are maintaining. You will, almost without effort, begin to attract women who are also emotionally intelligent, self-aware, and looking for a genuine connection built on mutual respect. It's a process of energetic self-selection. By being a man of integrity and calm purpose, you unconsciously signal to the world the kind of partnership you are available for, and you repel those who are not aligned with that vision. This saves you an immense amount of time and emotional energy, guiding you toward relationships that are nourishing and reciprocal rather than draining and transactional. Ultimately, practicing sympatheia is about taking radical responsibility for your part in the social fabric. It means you can no longer blame a bad date entirely on the other person or on external circumstances. You begin to ask yourself a more empowering question. What was my contribution to that dynamic? Did I come in with a hidden agenda that created pressure? Was I so focused on the outcome that I forgot to be present and enjoy the process? Did I fail to set a clear and kind boundary when it was needed? This isn't about self-blame, it's about self-awareness and agency. It empowers you to learn from every interaction and to consciously choose to show up as a better, more positive force in the next one. When you embrace the truth that you are interconnected with everyone you meet, every social moment becomes an opportunity to practice virtue, to spread goodwill, and to co-create a little more beauty and understanding in the world. And a man who moves through life with that generous and conscious intention is not just magnetic, he is a truly positive force, and that is the most attractive quality of all. And this brings us to a mindset that serves as a powerful anchor in a world constantly shouting that we need more: the profound practice of being content with what you have. In Stoicism, this is the virtue of temperance, which is far more than just moderation in food or drink. It is the disciplined mastery over our endless desires, the ability to find deep and lasting satisfaction in the present moment and in the resources, both internal and external, that are already available to you. The trap of constantly wanting more is especially insidious in the realm of dating. It's the feeling that you'll finally be happy when you get that particular woman's number, when the relationship becomes exclusive, or when you achieve some idealized version of a partnership. This mindset places your happiness in a future that is not guaranteed, creating a state of perpetual lack. You walk through life with a subtle but noticeable energy of needing something to be complete, and that neediness is a repellent to genuine connection. When you are always looking for the next thing to fulfill you, you cannot fully appreciate and engage with the person right in front of you. Stoic contentment shatters this cycle. It's not about complacency or giving up on your goals. It's about making a crucial distinction. You can work to improve your circumstances while simultaneously being truly grateful for and satisfied with what you already possess. This means your sense of well-being is no longer held hostage by outcomes. You approach dating from a place of abundance, not deficit. Imagine two different men interacting with the same woman. The first man is operating from a place of scarcity. He's thinking, I really hope she likes me. I need this to work out. If this date goes well, then I'll finally feel good about myself. His entire focus is on what he hopes to get from her: validation, companionship, a boost to his ego. This pressure leaks out in 100 subtle ways. He might laugh a little too hard at her jokes, agree with everything she says, or become visibly deflated if she expresses a differing opinion. He is in essence a beggar at the banquet of connection, and people can sense this desperation. Now consider the man who practices Stoic contentment. He has done the inner work to appreciate his life as it is. He enjoys his work, values his friendships, and finds meaning in his hobbies and personal growth. When he goes on a date, he isn't there to extract happiness from the interaction. He's there to share the happiness he already has. He is calm, present, and genuinely curious. He doesn't need her to complete him, so he can engage with her as an equal, appreciating her for who she is without placing the burden of his fulfillment on her shoulders. This projects a secure and deeply satisfied aura that is incredibly magnetic. It communicates that you are a source of your own joy, and that any connection with you is an addition to an already rich life, not a rescue mission for an empty one. This kind of self-contained fulfillment is the bedrock of true confidence. Practically, this means actively cultivating gratitude for the simple, present-moment realities of your life. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, began each day by mentally listing things they were grateful for, from the warmth of the sun to the ability to reason. You can start a daily journal where you note 3 things you appreciate about your current situation, independent of any romantic prospects. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a cognitive rewiring that shifts your baseline from what's missing to what's already here. When your default state is one of gratitude, you stop seeking a relationship as a solution to a problem and start seeing it as a wonderful potential collaboration between 2 already whole people. This also applies directly to how you perceive the women you date. A content man does not see a woman as a trophy to be won. a status symbol to elevate his social standing, or a caretaker for his emotional needs. He sees her as a fascinating individual whose company he enjoys. He is not trying to acquire her, he is exploring the possibility of sharing his journey with her. This removes a tremendous amount of pressure from the dynamic and allows for a much more authentic and relaxed connection to unfold. Her value is not in what she can do for you, but in who she is. This respectful, non-transactional approach is something that women feel intuitively and are powerfully drawn to, because it signifies a man who values them for their character and spirit, not for what they can provide. Ultimately, temperance and contentment are about declaring your independence from the endless chase for externals. It's about understanding that while you may prefer certain outcomes, your core peace and satisfaction are not dependent on them. When you embody this, you become a man who is not easily swayed by the opinions of others or the fluctuations of fortune. You are grounded in the appreciative awareness of your own life. This inner richness makes you incredibly attractive because you offer the one thing so many people are secretly searching for: the inspiring example that it is possible to be truly, deeply happy right now with or without a partner. And that is a lesson more valuable and magnetic than any dating strategy ever devised. This commitment to mindful and meaningful interaction brings us to a cornerstone of social grace and personal power, which is the 18th Stoic mindset, speaking with purpose and kindness. The Stoics held our faculty of speech in the highest regard, seeing it as a sacred tool given to us by nature for the purpose of cooperation and the pursuit of truth. They believed that every word we utter should pass through three essential gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This isn't about becoming a quiet, timid person who never speaks their mind. It's about elevating your communication from idle chatter to deliberate, constructive dialogue. When you adopt this standard, you transform from being just another voice in the room to being a person whose words carry weight and warmth, making you an exceptionally refreshing and trustworthy communicator. The first gate, truth, is the foundation of integrity. The Stoic values honesty not as a social rule, but as a non-negotiable expression of living in accordance with reality. In dating, this means letting go of exaggeration and posturing. There's no need to inflate your accomplishments, your lifestyle, or your experiences. A man grounded in this principle speaks plainly about who he is and what he's done. He might say, "I'm really passionate about my work in graphic design, and I'm constantly working to improve my skills," rather than, "I'm the best designer in the city and my clients are all Fortune 500 companies." The first statement is authentic, humble, and opens a door for genuine curiosity. The second is often a performance designed to impress, and it can feel more like a barrier than an invitation. Speaking the truth also applies to expressing your intentions and feelings with clarity. Instead of using vague or manipulative language to gauge interest, you state your interest directly and respectfully. You say, "I've really enjoyed our conversations and I'd love to take you out to dinner sometime," rather than sending confusing signals or playing games to see if she'll chase you. This directness, when delivered with kindness, is incredibly disarming and respected. It demonstrates confidence and self-respect, showing that you are not afraid to be vulnerable and clear about what you want. The second gate, necessity, is the discipline of economy with your words. The Stoic aims to speak only what adds value to the conversation, avoiding the common traps of complaint, gossip, or boastful storytelling. In a social setting, this means you don't dominate the conversation with long monologues about yourself. You don't fill comfortable silences with nervous chatter. Instead, you learn the powerful art of listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk, but actively listening to understand her perspective, her humor, and her values. When you do speak, your contributions are thoughtful. You ask insightful questions that show you're engaged. You share anecdotes that are relevant to the topic at hand, not just random stories designed to make you look good. This makes the other person feel truly heard and valued, which is a rare and precious gift in any interaction. Think about the difference between a man who spends the entire day talking about his car, his workout routine, and his opinions on everything, and a man who asks you about the book you mentioned you were reading, who listens to your story about your family and then shares a related, genuine story of his own. The first man is broadcasting, the second man is connecting. The necessity filter also stops you from venting negativity or complaining about your ex, your job, or the world at large. This doesn't mean you have to be falsely positive, but it means you focus the conversation on constructive or interesting topics rather than using it as a dumping ground for your frustrations. A man who does not complain radiates a sense of capability and inner peace that is highly attractive. The third and final gate, kindness, is what elevates your words from being merely factual to being truly connective. Kindness in speech is not about flattery or empty compliments. It's about framing your truth with consideration for the other person's feelings. It's the difference between bluntly stating, "That's a stupid idea," and saying, "I see your point, but I have a different perspective. Here's how I look at it." It's about offering constructive thoughts in a way that builds up rather than tears down. This includes the kindness of a well-timed, specific compliment. Instead of a generic, "You look nice," you might notice something more personal. "The way you described that situation was really insightful," or "I love the passion in your voice when you talk about your project." These types of comments show you are paying close attention and that you appreciate her mind and spirit, not just her appearance. When you consistently apply these three filters, your communication becomes a powerful expression of your inner character. You are no longer just exchanging information, you are building trust and rapport. A woman in conversation with you will feel a profound sense of ease and respect. She will sense that she can let her guard down because you are not there to judge, to compete, or to use your words as weapons. You become a safe harbor for authentic expression, a man who listens to understand and speaks to connect. This quality makes you not just a good conversationalist, but a truly magnetic presence, because in a world full of noise and superficial talk, a person who speaks with purposeful kindness is a profound breath of fresh air. Returning to that fundamental Stoic bedrock, the dichotomy of control, we now explore its most mature and graceful application, the art of graceful acceptance. While we began with focusing on what we can control, our actions, our efforts, our character, the other side of that coin is just as vital, learning to accept without resistance or bitterness what is ultimately not within our power to command. This goes far beyond simply understanding the concept intellectually. It's about embodying a deep, emotional equanimity when faced with the reality that a connection you were hopeful about simply isn't aligning. One of the most common and draining experiences in dating is trying to force a spark where none exists, or attempting to mold yourself to fit someone else's life vision. This mindset of acceptance is the liberating release from that exhausting struggle. Imagine you've been on a few dates with someone who is perfectly pleasant, intelligent, and kind. On paper, it seems like it should work, but in person, the conversation feels like work, the silences are heavy, and that intangible feeling of chemistry just isn't there. The common, non-Stoic reaction is often a form of protest against reality. You might think, if I just try harder, be funnier, or show more interest, maybe I can create that spark. You invest more and more emotional energy into trying to manufacture a feeling that must arise naturally or not at all. This not only depletes you, but it also places an unfair pressure on the other person, who can likely sense the forced nature of the interaction. The Stoic approach, grounded in acceptance, is to observe this lack of alignment with clear-eyed honesty and then to consciously, gracefully let it go. This is not a sign of failure or giving up too easily. It is a profound demonstration of emotional intelligence and self-respect. It's the recognition that chemistry and deep compatibility are not items on a checklist you can complete through sheer willpower. They are emergent properties of a unique alchemy between two people, and that alchemy is not within your direct control. By accepting its absence, you are not admitting defeat. You are honoring the truth of the situation, which frees both of you to seek connections where that natural resonance does exist. This same principle applies with even greater force when the obstacle is a fundamental difference in life goals. Perhaps you meet someone you have incredible chemistry with, but she is unequivocally focused on a nomadic life of travel, while your deepest desire is to put down roots and build a family in a community. The unwillingness to accept this reality leads people into years of painful compromise, secret resentment, and the hope that the other person will change. The Stoic, however, sees this divergence not as a personal tragedy, but as a clear piece of data. You can control your own goals and your commitment to them. You can control having an open, honest conversation about this mismatch, but you cannot control her goals, and you certainly cannot and should not try to change the core of who she is to suit your own blueprint for life. To attempt to do so is to violate the very principle of living in accordance with nature, both your own and hers. Gracefully accepting this difference and parting ways, however painful in the moment, is an act of immense respect for both yourself and her. It communicates that you value authenticity and alignment so highly that you will not sacrifice them for the temporary comfort of a relationship built on a faulty foundation. This capacity for graceful acceptance is in itself incredibly magnetic. It projects a level of emotional maturity that is rare and deeply attractive. It shows that you are a man who is secure enough to handle the truth even when it's disappointing. You are not desperate to cling to any connection out of a fear of being alone. You operate from a place of such self-assuredness that you trust the right connections will find their way to you, and you are willing to let the wrong ones go with dignity. This creates an aura of quiet strength and discernment. People are drawn to those who have strong boundaries and a clear sense of what they need to thrive, because it implies that any connection they do offer is genuine, considered, and not born out of neediness. Furthermore, this practice of acceptance is an incredible energy conservation strategy. Every ounce of mental and emotional effort you waste on trying to change an unchangeable reality, like someone's level of interest or their core life path, is energy stolen from your own growth and from the pursuit of connections that are truly aligned. Think of your energy as a finite resource. The Stoic aim is to invest it wisely in the province of your own character and actions, not to squander it on the futile task of trying to manage the external world. When you stop fighting reality, a tremendous amount of internal friction vanishes. You can redirect that reclaimed energy into your hobbies, your friendships, your career, and your well-being, which in turn makes you an even more vibrant and fulfilled person, further enhancing your natural magnetism. Ultimately, mastering this form of acceptance is about trusting the process of life itself. It's the understanding that a no in one direction is often life's way of protecting you from a path that would ultimately lead to greater pain, while simultaneously clearing the space for a yes that is truly meant for you. A man who can receive that no with a nod of understanding rather than a tantrum of resistance is a man who is not easily shaken by the changing winds of fortune. He stands firm in the knowledge that his worth is constant and that the right connections will honor rather than challenge the core of who he is. And this brings us to a mindset that acts as the ultimate shield against the chaos and uncertainty of the dating world, which is the profound understanding that your worth is not an external commodity to be earned, but an internal reality to be lived. In a culture that constantly screams at you to derive your value from your number of matches, your salary, your physical appearance, or the car you drive, the Stoic stands as a quiet but unwavering counterpoint. Your true worth, they would argue, is determined by one thing and one thing only: the quality of your character and your commitment to living in accordance with virtue. Everything else, the successes, the rejections, the material possessions, are merely external events, what the Stoics called preferred or dispreferred indifference. They can be taken away by fate in an instant, but your integrity, your courage, your wisdom, and your sense of justice, those are yours to cultivate and keep forever, regardless of what happens around you. When you make this fundamental shift from seeking external validation to building internal validation, you become emotionally untouchable in the most positive sense. You are no longer a marionette whose strings are pulled by every like, every match, and every date. Your emotional state becomes your own sovereign domain. Think about the immense pressure that instantly evaporates when you stop looking to a woman to confirm your value. Imagine you're on a date. The old paradigm where your worth is on the line has you nervously monitoring her reactions, trying to say the perfect thing, and interpreting a lull in conversation as proof that you're failing. Your entire energy is one of seeking approval. You are, in essence, asking her for a verdict on your worth as a person. This is not only an incredibly heavy burden to place on a casual interaction, but it's also transparently felt as neediness. Now shift to the Stoic paradigm. You walk into that same date with your worth already firmly established in your own mind. How? Because you know that yesterday you acted with honesty in a difficult situation at work. You know that you showed kindness to a stranger. You know that you pushed through a challenging workout, demonstrating self-discipline. Your self-esteem is built on a foundation of these small, virtuous actions, a foundation that no single date can shake. So now your entire purpose shifts. You are not there to get validation. You are there to explore a potential connection with another human being. You can be fully present, listening to her stories, not to find an opening to impress her, but because you're genuinely curious. You can share your own thoughts and passions not as a performance, but as an authentic expression of who you are. This projects a completely different frequency, one of calm self-assurance and genuine interest. This internal anchoring makes you immune to the opinions of others in a way that is profoundly magnetic. Consider the man who is devastated by a rejection. Why is he so crushed? Because he had invested his entire sense of worth in the hope of that one yes. Her no feels like a judgment on his entire being. Now consider the man whose worth is internal. He receives the same no. It might be disappointing, sure, he's human, and he may have been genuinely interested. But it does not devastate him. He can process it cleanly, thinking, "That's unfortunate, we weren't a match," without it triggering a cascade of self-loathing. He understands that her decision is a reflection of her own preferences, experiences, and path, not an objective assessment of his inherent value. This ability to remain steady, to not be emotionally thrown by another person's opinion, is a superpower. It communicates a level of self-possession and emotional stability that is incredibly rare and attractive. A woman senses that you are a man who is rooted in himself, who cannot be easily manipulated by praise or destroyed by criticism. This creates a sense of safety and trust because she knows that your feelings for her are not based on a fragile ego that needs constant propping up, but on a genuine appreciation for who she is. So how do you practically build this unshakable internal worth? It begins with a conscious audit of where you are currently sourcing your self-esteem. Do you feel better about yourself when you get a lot of likes on a post? Do you feel worse about yourself after a date doesn't lead to a second one? If the answer is yes, it's a signal that your worth is externally tethered. The Stoic practice is to systematically transfer that source back to your own sphere of control. This is a daily, active exercise. At the end of each day, instead of asking, "Did anyone show interest in me today?" you ask, "Did I act with virtue today? Was I courageous when it was difficult? Was I fair in my dealings? Was I disciplined with my time?" Your journal becomes a record of your character building, not your romantic conquests. You start to take pride in the man you are becoming, independent of any outside recognition. This internal scorecard becomes the only one that truly matters. Over time, the noisy opinions of the external world begin to fade into the background. You become the calm, unmoved center of your own storm. This is not arrogance, it is the quiet, humble confidence of a man who knows his own value because he is the one who has been diligently building it brick by virtuous brick. And that kind of grounded, self-validated presence is perhaps the most powerful magnet of all, because it offers the one thing every person is intuitively drawn to, the example of a human being who is truly and completely free. Building on this deep-seated sense of internal worth, we arrive at a daily practice that actively cultivates the positive and appreciative energy that makes you so compelling to be around. The 21st mindset, which is the disciplined habit of practicing gratitude. For the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a fleeting feeling or a polite social convention. It was a fundamental way of perceiving the world, a deliberate cognitive exercise that trained the mind to focus on what is present and good rather than what is absent or lacking. Think of it as the practical mechanism that fuels the contentment we discussed earlier. The most common Stoic method for this was a structured morning or evening reflection. Upon waking, a Stoic like Marcus Aurelius would begin his day by mentally listing things he was grateful for, from the simple fact of being alive and having the capacity for reason, to the specific people in his life and the lessons he had learned. This wasn't a passive, feel-good exercise. It was an active recalibration of his attention, setting a tone of abundance for the entire day ahead. When you bring this powerful practice into the context of your relationships with women, it creates a profound shift in how you perceive and engage with them. Instead of approaching a woman with a checklist of what you want her to be or a hidden hope for what she can do for you, you begin to train yourself to appreciate her for who she already is. This practice moves you from a mindset of acquisition to one of genuine appreciation. Imagine you're in the early stages of seeing someone. The common, untrained mind might be busy evaluating her. Is she as fun as my ex? Is she ambitious enough? Is she showing enough interest? This evaluative frame is inherently judgmental and places her on a pedestal where she is constantly being measured. It creates a subtle pressure that she will inevitably feel. Now, apply the Stoic gratitude practice. In your quiet time, you consciously reflect on specific qualities you've already observed and appreciated. You feel genuine thankfulness for her unique sense of humor that made you laugh last Tuesday. You feel gratitude for her intelligence and the interesting perspective she shared during your last conversation. You're even thankful for her honesty when she expressed a differing opinion, as it showed her integrity. This isn't about ignoring potential incompatibilities. It's about training your brain to first see the value that is already present. When you then interact with her, this internal practice projects outward as a palpable positive energy. You are no longer a critic assessing her performance. You are a partner appreciating her presence. This makes her feel seen and valued for her authentic self, not for her potential to fulfill a role in your life. That feeling of being truly appreciated is one of the most powerful attractors there is because it's so rare. It tells her that you are a man who notices and cherishes the details, who doesn't take her presence for granted. This practice also acts as a powerful antidote to the poison of entitlement. A man who feels entitled believes the world and the women in it owe him something. This energy is repulsive because it is fundamentally ungrateful. It's the energy of constantly expecting more. The grateful man, in contrast, operates from a place of humble appreciation. He sees every moment of connection, every shared laugh, every act of kindness as a gift, not an entitlement. This doesn't make him subservient, it makes him gracious. He says thank you with sincerity. He acknowledges her efforts. He celebrates her successes as if they were his own. This graciousness is magnetic because it communicates that you are a secure and emotionally generous person. Furthermore, this daily gratitude ritual builds immense resilience against the inevitable minor disappointments and frustrations that occur in any relationship. When a small disagreement arises, the man who has been cultivating gratitude doesn't immediately catastrophize or focus exclusively on the negative. Because his baseline is one of appreciation, he can hold both things at once. He can feel the friction of the disagreement while simultaneously holding a broader, grateful context of all the wonderful qualities she brings to his life. This prevents him from overreacting to a single negative event and allows him to address issues from a place of calm partnership rather than from a place of angry deficit. He is far less likely to lash out with a comment like, "You always do this," because his mind is also filled with the memory of that time she was incredibly supportive. This balanced perspective is the hallmark of emotional maturity. To implement this, you don't need anything more than a few quiet minutes each day. You can do it as part of a morning journaling session or as a mental review before you sleep. The key is specificity. Don't just think, "I'm grateful for her." Think, "I'm grateful for the specific way she listened so intently when I was stressed about work yesterday." Or, "I'm grateful for her passion for her art and the light in her eyes when she talks about it." This specific, detailed gratitude rewires your neural pathways, making you more attuned to the positive aspects of your life and your relationships. When you consistently practice this, you stop projecting a needy energy of wanting and start radiating a confident energy of thankful abundance. You become a man who is a joy to be around because you naturally focus on and amplify the good in others. And in a world that often highlights the negative, a person who consistently sees and appreciates the good is not just magnetic, they are a sanctuary. Now, with that foundation of appreciation and internal worth firmly in place, we come to a mindset that protects and amplifies all the progress you've made, which is the vital practice of choosing your companions wisely. The Stoics, from Seneca to Epictetus, were unequivocal on this point. The people you allow into your inner circle have a profound and direct impact on your character. You cannot spend significant time with cynical, lazy, or manipulative individuals and expect to remain virtuous, focused, and positive yourself. As the old saying goes, if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. This isn't about being elitist or judging others. It's a practical recognition of human nature. We are social creatures, and we are constantly, subtly influenced by the attitudes, values, and emotional energy of those we spend our time with. Their mindset begins to seep into your own, shaping your thoughts and actions often without you even realizing it. When you apply this principle to your dating life, it becomes one of the most powerful filters you can possibly employ. It shifts your focus from simply finding any attractive partner to intentionally seeking a partner who will be a true companion on your journey toward becoming a better man. This means being highly selective, not in a picky or superficial way, but in a way that is deeply aligned with your core values and your Stoic aspirations. You are not just looking for someone you are attracted to. You are looking for someone whose very presence makes you want to be a more virtuous, more disciplined, more purposeful version of yourself. Think about the two very different paths this can create. On one hand, you might find yourself drawn to someone who is exciting and charismatic, but whose values are misaligned with your own. Perhaps she thrives on drama, speaks poorly of others, or lives for external validation. The initial chemistry might be intense, but over time, what happens? To maintain the connection, you might find yourself compromising your own principles. You might engage in gossip you know is wrong, or you might start to prioritize her approval over your own inner compass. You begin to absorb that negative energy, and the man of character you've been working so hard to build starts to erode. The relationship becomes a source of internal conflict, draining your energy and pulling you away from your purpose. Now consider the alternative. You meet someone who is not only attractive but whose character is solid. She is kind, not just to you but to waiters, to strangers, to her friends. She is intellectually curious and challenges your ideas in a constructive way. She has her own passions and pursuits, and she supports yours. She operates with integrity, and her calm, positive presence makes you feel more centered and secure. When you are with her, you feel inspired to be more patient, more generous, more courageous. She doesn't demand you change, her very example elevates you. This is the kind of connection that doesn't just feel good, it actively makes you a better person. This selectivity is magnetic in and of itself because it broadcasts a powerful message about your own self-worth. A man who is careful about who he lets into his life is a man who values what he has built. He is not desperate for validation, so he can afford to be discerning. He understands that a relationship is not just about filling a void of loneliness, it's a partnership that should enrich both lives. When a woman encounters a man with these kinds of standards, she recognizes that he is not a person who will settle for just anyone. This makes the connection feel more special and earned, and it attracts women of high character who are looking for the same depth and alignment. So, how do you practically implement this? It starts with getting ruthlessly clear on your own non-negotiable values. What are the pillars of your character? Is it honesty, discipline, kindness? A growth mindset, write them down. Then, as you meet new people, you consciously observe their behavior through this lens, not just their words. Does she take responsibility for her mistakes, or does she blame others? Does she speak with purpose and kindness, or does she gossip and complain? How does she handle stress or disappointment? Does she respond with resilience and reason, or with drama and emotional volatility? You are looking for evidence of her character in her daily actions. This process requires patience and the courage to walk away from connections that, while perhaps superficially appealing, do not meet this deeper standard. It means saying no to the siren song of instant chemistry when it's not backed by substance. This can be difficult in the moment, but it is the ultimate act of self-respect and long-term wisdom. You are choosing the steady, fulfilling warmth of a compatible partnership over the brief, exciting flash of a mismatched one. By being a guardian of your own social environment, you ensure that your inner citadel is not being quietly undermined from within. You surround yourself with people who reinforce your best qualities, who challenge you to grow, and who share your commitment to living a good life. In doing so, you naturally create the conditions for a connection that is not only magnetic but also deeply sustaining. A true partnership where both individuals are actively making each other better day by day. This brings us to the 23rd Stoic mindset, which is the unwavering commitment to act with integrity in all things. We've talked about virtue as the sole good, but this principle is where that lofty ideal meets the pavement of your daily life. Integrity is the seamless alignment between your inner values and your outer actions. It's the practice of Stoic virtue made visible in everything you do, from the monumental choices to the seemingly insignificant moments no one else may ever see. The Stoics believed that character isn't built in a single grand gesture, but in the countless small decisions you make when you think no one is watching. It's in these moments that you forge a reputation of trustworthiness so solid and so consistent that it becomes a fundamental part of your presence. And that kind of reliability is profoundly magnetic. Think of integrity as the cumulative effect of 1,000 tiny truths. It's returning the extra change when a cashier makes a mistake. It's finishing a task you promised yourself you'd do, even when you're tired and it would be easy to skip. It's speaking with respect about someone who isn't in the room. Each of these small acts is like depositing a coin into the bank of your own character. Over time, the balance grows and you develop a deep, unshakable trust in yourself. You know with certainty that you are a person who does what you say you will do. This self-trust is the foundation for the trust others place in you. When you interact with a woman, this inner certainty radiates outward. She may not know the specific instances, but she will feel the result. A man whose words and actions are perfectly aligned. A man who is, in essence, predictable in the most admirable way. His yes means yes, and his no means no. There is no guesswork, no decoding of hidden meanings, no worry that he's saying one thing while meaning another. This creates an environment of immense emotional safety. Now, let's apply this directly to the dynamics of dating and connection. One of the most common places integrity is tested is in how you speak about others, especially past partners or people you're no longer involved with. A man lacking in integrity might be tempted to badmouth an ex on a date, painting himself as the victim and her as the villain. He might think this makes him look better or elicits sympathy. In reality, it does the exact opposite. It signals a lack of grace, an inability to take responsibility, and a willingness to disrespect someone he once cared for. This immediately raises a red flag for any discerning woman. She will wonder, if he speaks this way about someone from his past, how might he speak about me in the future if things don't work out? In stark contrast, the man of integrity speaks about his past with fairness and discretion. If asked about a previous relationship, he might say something like, "We wanted different things in life and it didn't work out. I learned a lot from the experience and I wish her well." This response is brief, neutral, and shows emotional maturity. It demonstrates that you can navigate difficult endings with dignity and that you respect the privacy and humanity of others. This doesn't mean you have to pretend a painful breakup was wonderful. It simply means you choose to focus on the lesson rather than the blame. That kind of respectful discretion is incredibly attractive because it signals that you are a safe and trustworthy confidant. Another critical arena for integrity is in how you keep your word, especially regarding the small, casual promises that are so easy to break. Telling a friend you'll call them back and then forgetting. Promising to help with a move and then canceling at the last minute with a flimsy excuse. In the context of dating, this looks like saying you'll call on Tuesday and then texting on Wednesday with a story about being busy. Each of these minor breaches might seem inconsequential on its own, but together they form a pattern of unreliability. They reveal a character that is comfortable with a small amount of deception, a person who does not fully respect the value of another person's time or expectations. The man practicing Stoic integrity understands that there is no such thing as a small promise. Every commitment, no matter how minor, is a test of your character. When you tell a woman you will call at 7, you call at 7. When you say you will plan the next date, you take the initiative and follow through. This consistency is not about being rigid, it's about being honorable. It communicates that you see her as a person worthy of your respect and that you take your own words seriously. This builds a foundation of trust that allows intimacy to flourish because she knows she can rely on you. In a world where flakiness has become the norm, a man who is consistently dependable stands out like a beacon. Ultimately, this mindset is about understanding that integrity is a whole life practice. You cannot compartmentalize it. You cannot be a man of your word in your business dealings, but be evasive and non-committal in your romantic life. The same character you display when choosing to be honest on your taxes is the same character that shows up when you are faced with the temptation to exaggerate your accomplishments on a date. The Stoics called this the unity of virtue. Your integrity is a single, unbroken thread that runs through every aspect of your existence. When you live this way, you eliminate the exhausting mental labor of keeping track of different stories or maintaining different personas. You simply are who you are, everywhere, with everyone. This authenticity is incredibly freeing, and it projects a powerful, grounded energy. You become a man who doesn't just talk about honor, you embody it in every handshake, every conversation, and every promise kept. That wholeness and consistency is the very essence of a trustworthy character, and it creates a level of attraction that is based not on fleeting charm, but on profound and lasting respect. And this brings us to a mindset that cuts the final anchor holding so many people back from genuine connection, the profound and liberating practice of letting go of the past. The Stoics were absolutely clear on this point. The past is utterly and completely outside the realm of our control. It is a collection of events that have already happened, a book whose pages are written and sealed. To cling to it, to ruminate on past dating failures, to allow an old heartbreak to define your present identity, is not just pointless from a Stoic perspective. It is a form of self-inflicted suffering that actively sabotages your ability to be open and present in new interactions. Imagine walking into a room with a heavy, invisible chain wrapped around your shoulders, a chain made of every rejection, every awkward moment, every person who didn't choose you. That weight changes your posture, your energy, and the entire way you engage with the world. You are not truly in the room, you are half there with the other half of you still stuck in a memory. The Stoic practice is the conscious decision to drop that chain, to accept the past for what it is, a series of lessons, not life sentences, and to walk into the present moment unburdened and free. This doesn't mean you pretend the past didn't happen or that you never felt pain. The Stoics weren't advocates for emotional suppression. It means you master your judgment of those past events. The event itself is over, it's gone. The only thing that remains is the story you tell yourself about it. Are you telling yourself that a past rejection means you are fundamentally unlovable? That a failed relationship proves you are bad at intimacy? These are judgments, not facts, and these judgments are the true prison. The Stoic work is to examine these stories with ruthless honesty and reframe them through the lens of acceptance and learning. A past failure wasn't a verdict on your worth. It was an experience that provided you with crucial information. Perhaps it taught you something about your own boundaries, about the kind of communication you need, or about values that are non-negotiable for you. When you extract the lesson, the past loses its power to hurt you and instead becomes a useful guide. You can thank it for its service and then, consciously, let it go. Consider the practical impact this has when you're meeting someone new. A man who is haunted by his past will often project those ghosts onto the present. He might be overly cautious, testing the new person for signs of the same behaviors that hurt him before. He might be quick to assume the worst, interpreting a simple delay in a text reply as the beginning of the same pattern of disinterest he experienced with someone else. This is not true connection, it's a projection. He isn't seeing the new person for who she is. He's seeing her through the distorted lens of his past pain. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where his defensiveness and assumptions eventually push her away, thus confirming his belief that he is destined to be hurt. It's a tragic and entirely preventable cycle. Now picture the man who has practiced letting go. He walks into a new connection with a clean slate. His mind is not clouded by comparisons to past partners or anxieties born from old wounds. He is fully available to be curious, to listen, and to discover who this new person actually is. He can be vulnerable and open because he isn't protecting an old scar. He understands that this new person is a completely different individual, deserving of a fair chance, untainted by the actions of others. This quality of presence is incredibly refreshing and magnetic. It allows for a connection to develop organically, based on the unique chemistry of the two people actually in the room, not on the echoes of relationships long gone. Furthermore, this release from the past is what allows you to truly take ownership of your present actions, which is the essence of virtue. If you are still blaming an ex for your current trust issues, you are giving away your power. You are saying, my present behavior is controlled by what someone else did to me in the past. The Stoic finds this notion unacceptable. Your character, your actions, your responses, these are yours to command, right here, right now, regardless of what has happened before. Letting go of the past is the ultimate declaration of that personal sovereignty. It is you stating, I am the author of my life from this moment forward. My past has taught me, but it does not own me. This attitude projects a tremendous sense of strength and self-possession. It tells a woman that you are a man who takes full responsibility for his own emotional world, who doesn't carry baggage into a new partnership, and who is capable of building something fresh and healthy. It demonstrates a level of emotional maturity that is both rare and deeply attractive, promising a partnership free from the shadows of old grievances. When you let go of what was, you create the spaciousness for what could be, and that open, hopeful, and present energy is the most fertile ground for a truly magnetic connection to take root and flourish. And this brings us to our final and perhaps most encompassing mindset, the one that ties all the others together into a lifelong pursuit, recognizing that continuous self-improvement is not just a phase but the very goal itself. In the Stoic worldview, the journey toward wisdom and virtue is never complete. There is no final destination where you arrive, dust off your hands, and declare yourself a finished masterpiece. The moment you believe you have arrived is the very moment you begin to stagnate. This endless path of progress, this commitment to becoming a slightly better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, is not a burden. It is the source of a dynamic and ever-evolving attractiveness. It demonstrates a rare combination of traits that are profoundly compelling: the ambition to keep growing, the humility to acknowledge you don't know everything, and the depth that comes from a mind that is always open and curious. Consider the alternative, a man who believes he has life all figured out. His perspectives are fixed, his routines are rigid, and his mind is closed to new ideas or feedback. He may have achieved a certain level of success or comfort, but he has ceased to grow. Conversations with him can feel like walking in a circle, always returning to the same familiar topics and opinions. There is no sense of discovery, no spark of newness. This static energy over time becomes predictable and ultimately uninteresting. Now, picture the man who embodies this 25th mindset. He is a lifelong student of his own character. He reads not to appear intelligent, but to genuinely understand different perspectives and challenge his own assumptions. He sees every interaction, every success, and every setback as a source of data to refine his approach to life. He is secure enough to admit when he is wrong and to actively seek out his blind spots. This creates a person who is constantly renewing himself, who is full of interesting thoughts and questions, and who brings a fresh, engaging energy to every encounter. This commitment to growth is magnetic because it signals that you are a source of positive evolution, not just for yourself but for those around you. A woman who partners with a man on this path knows she is not signing up for a static existence. She is joining a journey that will be filled with learning, mutual discovery, and shared growth. You become someone who inspires her to pursue her own best self, creating a powerful synergy where the relationship becomes a catalyst for both of your evolutions. This is far more attractive than a relationship based on a fixed set of shared interests or a comfortable routine. It's a partnership that is alive, dynamic, and built to adapt and thrive through all of life's inevitable changes. Your dedication to self-improvement shows that you are not looking for someone to complete you, but for a companion with whom you can build a richer, more meaningful life, and that is an incredibly inspiring proposition. Furthermore, this mindset is the ultimate protection against complacency, which is the silent killer of passion and attraction. Complacency creeps in when you stop putting in the effort, when you start taking your partner for granted, and when you neglect the very practices that made you magnetic in the first place. The man who sees self-improvement as the goal never falls into this trap. His daily practices, his journaling, his reflection, his pursuit of virtue ensure that he remains conscious, appreciative, and actively engaged in his own life and in the relationship. He doesn't stop being courageous, wise, or kind just because he's in a committed partnership. Those muscles require constant exercise. This means he continues to be the same grounded, interesting, and reliable person she was initially drawn to, and that consistency of character is what builds deep, lasting trust and desire. He understands that the work is never done, and that the most beautiful things in life, including a profound connection, require ongoing care and cultivation. This unwavering dedication is in itself a powerful statement of value. It says that you hold the relationship in such high regard that you will never stop striving to be the partner it deserves. And so we arrive at the culmination of this journey through 25 Stoic mindsets, a path that has taken us from the fundamental bedrock of focusing only on what is within our control, through the liberating embrace of our own fate, and into the unshakable truth that our only real possession is our character. We've explored how to build an inner citadel of resilience, to live in accordance with reason and nature, and to courageously face our fears through the premeditation of challenges. We've seen how every obstacle can be transformed into a path for growth, how the remembrance of our own mortality can infuse our interactions with urgent authenticity, and how replacing judgment with understanding builds bridges of genuine connection. We've strengthened our will through voluntary discomfort, learned that integrity is demonstrated through action, not just words, and recognized the shared humanity in everyone we meet. We've gained perspective from the cosmic view from above, guarded our mind from reactive impressions, and discovered the magnetic pull of a life driven by a clear and meaningful purpose. We've understood how our own energy shapes the social world around us, cultivated a deep and lasting contentment, and committed to speaking with truth, necessity, and kindness. We've practiced the grace of accepting what we cannot change, anchored our worth firmly in our own virtuous actions, and made a daily ritual of heartfelt gratitude. We've become guardians of our social environment, choosing companions who uplift us, and we have acted with unwavering integrity in every small moment. We have done the vital work of releasing the chains of the past, and we have embraced the lifelong journey of continuous self-improvement as the ultimate goal. When you step back and look at this entire tapestry, a powerful and singular theme emerges with absolute clarity. True magnetism, the kind that draws people toward you with an almost gravitational force, is not a set of techniques to be learned. It is not about manipulating your body language, memorizing clever lines, or constructing a flawless external image. Authentic attraction is a radiance that comes from within. It is the natural byproduct of a life dedicated to the cultivation of virtue, the forging of resilience, and the pursuit of a purpose greater than yourself. It is the quiet confidence of a man who knows his value is not for sale, the calm presence of a man who is not easily shaken by external events, and the genuine warmth of a man who engages with others from a place of wholeness, not lack. This is not a quick fix, this is a way of life. The real transformation begins when you stop seeing these mindsets as a checklist to get a result and start integrating them as daily practices to build your character. It's in the small, consistent choices, the moment you choose patience over frustration, the decision to act with courage despite your fear, the conscious effort to be fully present in a conversation. This is where the metal of your character is tempered. This is where you stop performing confidence and start embodying it, and as you do this, something remarkable happens. You will find that you no longer have to chase validation or seek approval. You become the source of your own stability and satisfaction. Your interactions become lighter, more authentic, and far more enjoyable because you are no longer burdened by the desperate need for a specific outcome. You engage with women as complete human beings, offering connection rather than pleading for it, and that shift in energy is the most powerful magnet there is. It communicates that you are a man of substance, a man of principle, and a man who is truly comfortable in his own skin. Now, this is not the end of your journey, it is truly the beginning. I encourage you to take these principles and live them. Don't just consume this information, apply it. Start with one mindset that resonates most deeply with you right now. Perhaps it's the practice of Amor Fati, learning to love every outcome as a necessary part of your path. Maybe it's the discipline of guarding your impressions, creating that crucial pause between a triggering event and your reaction. Or it could be the commitment to finding and living your purpose, your daemon, so that your life is driven by a powerful internal engine. I would love to hear which of these 25 mindsets struck a chord with you. Was there one that immediately illuminated a blind spot or offered a new perspective on a challenge you've been facing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights not only help you solidify your own understanding, but can also inspire and guide others on this same path. Let's continue this conversation and support each other in building lives of strength, virtue, and authentic magnetism. Remember, the goal is not perfection, it is progress. It is the unwavering commitment to showing up each day as a slightly better version of the man you were yesterday. Embrace the journey, trust the process, and watch as the world begins to respond to the profound and compelling man you are becoming.